Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Bait.com's Career Talk. As always, I'm Hatem Hannoun. And on this week's episode, I want to discuss something I'm seeing more frequently, something to do with your job, and specifically how to create value for organizations and become indispensable, thereby shifting some of the leverage to you for that end of year appraisal, asking for that promotion or that salary increase. So let's start off with an example. Say you're an accountant at work. And the reason I'm using an accountant as the example here is because accounting it's a mathematical process, right? And you might be great at your job and you're coming in 9 to 5 doing your job and everyone loves you. But maybe you are also great at Photoshop, another skill that you have from your school days or university days that you don't see much relevance to your job as an accountant, and therefore don't really use it or haven't really thought about it. And that's what I want to focus on here. So aside from you being great at accounting and doing your job and everyone loving you for it, how do you create more value to an organization? How do you become more indispensable to the organization? And that's where you want to think about the other skills that you have. So going back to Photoshop, you need to keep your eyes and ears open for what's happening within the company, other departments, whether it's design, marketing, other departments that might find value in your skill as someone who knows how to use Photoshop. So by using that, so what I want you to think about here is, where can I give some of my time and some of my productivity to other departments that aren't directly linked to accounting? And the reason this detachment is important is because you become the company becomes more dependent on you to do various different activities, and therefore you stand out even more from other employees. So again, you're doing some work for the marketing department, for the design. If you're in a tech firm, it might be for the user interface of the new app, whatever it is. It could be a big or small project. Don't think that you have to create something that will change the course of the company. It could be just small tasks that you're doing here and there for different departments. So now what you have happening is, aside from you being a great accountant, you have different departments now dependent on you for smaller tasks. Now you need to find that balance where you are able to give these tasks and produce that work for the different departments without affecting your work as an accountant. Now, why would you want to do this? Now, you're not going to get paid for doing this immediately. Starting off, I'm going to do some work for the marketing department and I'm expecting to get paid for it. But this is an investment in your future. By doing work for different departments and having different people dependent on you, you become more indispensable to the organization. These departments become more reliant on you, and therefore, by the end of the year, when it comes time for that appraisal, when you are asking for that promotion, it's more justified. The company sees more value in you. Then you are more than an accountant. And again, I'm not just talking about accountants here. This is just the example. You could be the sales guy. You're more than just the sales guy or saleswoman in this case, right? You want to be more than just your job, because then the company needs you more, and then in good times and bad times, you're harder to replace. You are more of a solid figure in that organization because you're doing so much more for other people. Now, let's take another example. You could be that salesperson, and you know the company does a lot of PR, they do a lot of work, and not many people are comfortable in front of the camera. And you are. So you might want to step up and start taking more of these roles. Start finding ways to step in front of the camera and represent the company. Now you've become the face of the organization, not just the salesperson, right? So different ways to let's say, dig your roots deep into different departments in the organization justifies your value to the company and justifies your work when you are asking for that promotion or that salary increase. So you're great as an accountant. How many other accountants can also do the Photoshop work? A very few amount. If you're great at sales, how many salespeople are great at talking in front of a camera? A small amount. So how can you differentiate yourself and focus on the skill sets that you've previously ignored because they have no relation to what you do? And again, I'm going to focus on this fact of having skills that have no relation to your direct job, because again, if you're an accountant, again, using this accounting example, and you have another fantastic skill that adds to you being an accountant, chances are there's going to be someone else who has that skill set and has taken it to the next level as well. So you're always thinking not just in terms of your organization, but in terms of the entire job market. How do I stand out from every other accountant out there? How do I stand out from every other design person out there? How do I stand out from every other salesperson out there? And it's by adding these different skill sets to the organization. So it's whether it's for your current company that you're adding value to, or building that experience. So when you are applying to that new company, you let them know, hey, I'm an accountant. I'm also fantastic at Photoshop. So then they can see how you can fit into the organization. We do need someone for Photoshop, but just for such minor tasks, it's not worth hiring an entire person for. We need an accountant. This person fits in great with us. We can also use him or her for the Photoshop tasks. So again, these are just two different examples that have no relation to each other. Find what skills you have that have no direct link to your current job, and maybe put a bit more thought, a bit more focus. It might be worth even taking some courses in your free time to enhance those skill sets and add further value to the organization, so you become deeply entrenched in that organization and your value is solid to different departments, to different people, and everyone knows you in the company for being that person who's producing great work all the time in different respects. So it's just a thought that I wanted to share with you, not something I want to elaborate too much on. I think you can identify for yourself what skills you have and what you're great at, but focus on them and see how you can add value to the organization while keeping in mind not to affect your current work. If you were doing great at your job, but you feel like you might struggle by adding some skills to a different department, let's not jeopardize that, but think about how you can add that. It might be worth doing it in your free time after work or before work if you feel like that investment will pay off by the end of the year. If you feel like such a department is maybe struggling with certain tasks and you can provide that work, provide that productivity for them and add value to them. So just a thought to keep in mind, focus on your skill sets that you might have previously ignored, assess yourself, and as always, self-awareness is key for this. So I'll leave you with that thought for this episode. As always, we're here on YouTube every week with Career Talk. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook for the latest. Leave your comments down below on this video. Let me know what you think about this approach, about creating more value for an organization. Do you agree that you should look to ways where you're not directly doing what your current job requires you to do? Or do you feel that you need to enhance what you're currently doing even further and producing even more work for your current department? Let me know. I'm excited. I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are. Let's start this discussion, and I'll see you next week on Bait.com's Career Talk.